Civic Engagement team here at Mount Zion Baptist Church. We are so excited to have you with us. Let's go to the Father in prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you. We thank you for this day. God, we thank you for giving us the opportunity, God, to come and learn more about those that are running for office. God, right now we pray, God, for each candidate, God, each person that will be representing our districts and our area. God, we pray a hedge of protection. God, we pray for the head of this land of the United States of America, our president, and those that are in governing bodies. So, Father, even right now, we pray for the local candidates as they speak. They won't be nervous or anxious, but, God, they will speak with clarity, and they will speak with an understanding of our community. Bless them all in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Welcome to this forum presenting some of the candidates competing for the 2016 election. All North Carolina candidates competing for an office were invited to participate, and we will present to you today those that accepted our invitation. Mount Zion does not endorse any particular political party or candidate. This forum today is presented to you by the Civic Engagement Committee of Mount Zion Baptist Church. The members of this committee have worked hard to present this forum. Our focus is on Christian citizenship. Each member brings to this committee their own special skills and expertise. You will see them throughout this program, and they are as follows. Keith Funderburg, our chairperson who opened the program with prayer. Ida Bracken, Doug Thorne, Larry Ziegler, and yours truly, Shirley McAllister. Our purpose in presenting this forum is to help our community become familiar with the candidates and where they stand on the issues. You may pick up information on your way out on how to review your ballot prior to voting, locations for early voting, and other voting material. In other words, we want you to be fully engaged and participating on Election Day. We hope you will enjoy our program today and that it will be a learning experience. I present to you now our moderator, Bishop George W. Brooks, Pastor Emeritus of Mount Zion Baptist Church. Bishop Brooks will explain the procedures for the program and direct questions to the candidates.
All right. Thank you so much, Shirley. Well, good afternoon to everyone. Y'all get to speak a lot today. Y'all spoken 3 times in a 3-minute interval on the campaign trail. I'm sure you speak more frequently than that, so this should not be strange to you. Here are the instructions for the candidates today. You will have 2 minutes for an opening statement, 1 minute for a closing statement, and 1 minute to answer each question. Opening statements will be in the order of the Guilford County Board of Elections listing, and closing statements will be in the reverse order. Timekeepers sitting on each side of me, and when there are 15 seconds left on your speaking time, the timekeeper sitting to me, Doug Thorne, will hold up a card that reads 15 seconds. At the end of the 15 seconds, the timekeeper will hold up a stop card. If you continue speaking after the stop card, I will say thank you and move on to the next one. Please note the cameras at the back of the room. This forum is being recorded live and will be rebroadcast on Cable 8. Now to our audience, please turn off your cell phones and beeping watches now, if you would, please. Please remain quiet also throughout the forum. We're asking for no clapping, no cheering, no calling out. And at the end of the forum, you may applaud for all the candidates. No campaign literature or signs are allowed inside the chapel. Audience members will be able to meet with the candidates at the end of the forum and, of course, be able to ask any questions that you so desire for them. First of all, let me just say welcome again to all of you. What a marvelous turnout we had of candidates, and we're really proud that you came out today. And I'm looking at three handsome gentlemen now, and you can pay me later for having said that. But all things being equal, we're going to get started because we want the participants in the audience to have the benefit of the maximum time to get answers. We have today Mark Walker, who's from District 6, U.S. House of Representatives Pete Gladwell, who's from District 6, and of course, Bruce Davis, who's from District 13. I'm going to just start with Mark. Mark, are you in favor of raising the minimum wages to $15 and explain your position? Either one. Yes, either mic. Okay.
Now, do we go with the opening statement or just go right into the question?
I'm gonna let. I will give you your opening statement for 2 minutes.
Okay.
And then that's going to be your question
Okay.
when you finish it.
All right. Thank you, Bishop Brooks. Thank you, Mount Zion Baptist Church, for hosting such an important event. Appreciate all the volunteers, even the tech crew up there, for getting this worked out for us today. I've had the privilege for the last 2 years to serve in the United States Congress. It's been my honor to do so and really earn a lot of trust throughout this whole entire community. And though it's a bit self-serving just to talk about a few things, I do want you to know that we were the first new member to pass legislation in the United States Congress, the Human Trafficking Detection Act, that I felt like was very important. And not just things that we would consider social issues. We worked with Glen Raven out of Alamance County, passed tax relief for manufacturers to the tune of $10 to $20 million. The CFO of Glen Raven in Burlington said Mark Walker championed this cause in a mighty way. But it's not just the legislation. It's important things that affect us in everyday life. I was privileged to work with bipartisan Alma Adams. In fact, our office contacted Alma's. For the first time in the United States Congress history, we now have an internship program for HBCU students. 4 weeks in our office, 4 weeks in Alma's office. Those kinds of things are impactful to our community. And as a pastor, over the years, and working in places like Cleveland and New York and Baltimore, my heart went out for everyone because as a person of faith, I believe that God creates every single one of us uniquely with special gifts, with special talents, and with special abilities. And I want to make sure that every child, every man, woman, boy, and girl has the same opportunities that all of us. Maybe that's why that early on the Republicans didn't kind of get behind me. And of course, when you get to Washington and you don't get a lot of Republican support, you don't owe anybody anything when you get there. It's my privilege. I hope we'll be able to talk about some of the issues today. It's an honor again. Thank you again, Bishop Brooks, and for us having us out today. Thank you.
Right. Go ahead. No, let Mr. Gladwell give his opening statements. I think that's the way I want to do. Everybody give opening statements, and then we'll come back with the questions. Go ahead, sir.
Well, thank you, Bishop Brooks, for moderating this event. I thank you for your 37 years here at Mount Zion and for your service in Vietnam, as I was also a Vietnam veteran. I come to you today as a business CEO that was chief executive officer of a $100 million company, and I want to, and a Vietnam veteran, and as well as a native of this district. My focus is today for three things. One is what the focus of my campaign is. Two is a worry that I have, and three is a question I have for all of us. Number one is my focus. I think the major issue that we have today is putting people back to work. We have 94 million unemployed Americans. 58% of the working age workforce is employed. And if we can get people back to work, we can solve every problem financially and otherwise that we have. It will also bring families back together, which I think is a major goal of mine. The second is a worry, and it has to do with Mr. Walker's support of Donald Trump from a veterans and national security standpoint. Mr. Trump has made jokes about my service in Vietnam being compared as dangerous as his nightlife in New York. He has taken umbrage with John McCain being a captive in Vietnam, and he says he knows more about ISIS than the generals do. This gives me pause. The third thing is a question, is who is more ready and able to represent all of the people of this district? Now, I was born and raised in this district. I've lived in 5 of the 8 counties. I've done business all over this district. Mr. Walker is from Alabama and Texas and has only lived in this district for 7 years. He gets most of his money from PACs that are outside North Carolina. And I ask you then, who is he representing? Thank you.
All right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, thank you, Bishop Brooks, and thank you to all of you at Mount Zion who has made this possible. I certainly appreciate all of the support. Thank you for those who went out to the polls back in June and selected me as the Democratic nominee for the 13th Congressional District. I really appreciate your support. Now, a little bit about Bruce Davis real quick. For those of you who don't know, of course, I'm from High Point. I'm the guy from High Point that I've always heard for over the years. Oh, you're the guy from High Point. Yes, I am. Went to school in High Point, went into the military as an 18-year-old. Went and took that sacred oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Many of you have taken that oath. And so I served there for 20 years, and I thank you for that service as well. But I served in the military for 20 years and decided to come back to my hometown, High Point. And the thing that bothered me about the most when I returned from after traveling all over the world is that High Point to me had been stuck in kind of like a time warp. There was not much going on at that time, and I seriously wanted some changes to happen. I got involved in a group called the Black Leadership Roundtable, and we worked every Monday night. We met every Monday night to see if we could solve all the world's problems. And I can't do it in 15 seconds, but anyway, I certainly appreciate this opportunity to be here, and hopefully I'll get to tell you why I want to run for Congress so bad and serve the people of the 13th Congressional District. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Back to our question. Mark.
Yeah, I remember the question.
Okay.
For a point of order, part of the rules, you had asked us not to go after the individuals, but if someone does break the rules like that, are we allowed 30 seconds just to respond to some of that? Is that possible?
Well, we'll see. Let's go.
Do you tell me about 10 minutes? Well, you know what? I'm going to get a little creative and work both in the same answer. How about that? Okay. My opponent was mistaken. I was born in Alabama, didn't grow up there. I lived there 6 months. And I lived in Houston, Texas, about a year and a half, where my father was a minister. My father's my hero, small-town Baptist pastor. He grew up in the time of the 60s of Alabama, saw racism, ignorance at its very worst. But you know what? He taught myself, my 2 younger brothers, to love people beyond what they are, beyond where their education, beyond where they come from. And I will always celebrate his life because he's the one that taught us to listen in those communities. As far as the $15 an hour, I think we've got to get back to workforce development as much as we do raising any standards. Right now, HACO has over 100 jobs that start at $15 an hour, and they can't find the people to employ those jobs. We've got to work with our high schools and community colleges to bridge those gaps to make sure they're educated and coming out for those jobs. So thank you.
All right. Yes, sir. Same question.
Same question.
Yes, sir.
Well, the focus of my campaign is to put people back to work, and it is my sincere hope that we can get enough people back to work where the laws of supply and demand will drive it to $15. In the meantime, in North Carolina, which is a lower cost of living state, what I would propose is that we raise the minimum wage $1.50 a year so as not to burden small businesses with big increases until we get to $10.50 and then index the the minimum wage to the cost of living. Therefore, we don't have to go back to Congress every 9 years to a recalcitrant group of people and beg for it again.
All right.
My answer, yes. Certainly, we need to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I understand the argument as a businessman. I understand the argument that it could have an impact on some businesses. However, you have to have the willingness to do so. My business is a very small business. We have 20 employees, but we pay well above minimum wages at my business. And so it was tough to make those incremental steps. but I understand the value of paying your workers a good livable wage. What it does, it cuts down on the losing workers, retraining. It costs you much more when you have to retrain your workers. So paying them $15 an hour, we could do it by by raising the minimum wage by $2 by 2018, and then move it $2 more until we get it, and then tie it to inflation so that we never have to revisit this argument again. Thank you.
All right, hold on to the mic if you would.
Sure.
What's your views on Black Lives Matter?
Black Lives Matter, I think, the reason why we have a Black Lives Matter is because it is a reaction to what has been happening all over this country. And I think they have a very legitimate argument. Black lives do matter. Of course, all lives matter as well. But we wouldn't be talking about black lives if it wasn't a threat to black lives at this particular time. So that, we have to make sure that we address policing in our communities. And that is the cry right there, that we have equal justice within our communities and be able to come and go freely like anybody else and not be profiled. Less than 10 days ago, I was profiled as a candidate because my car had 2 flags on them. Now, why would you stop someone with 2 American flags and have their campaign literature on it? And I was asked, what's going on here? So I'm profiled. I've seen this happen, and it's ridiculous.
I believe you. Okay, yes. Same question. Yes.
Black Lives Matter is an important aspect to free speech. We need to talk to each other, and it is driving a conversation, and that is positive. I don't think that the sentence for having a broken taillight is getting shot. I also don't think that the sentence for a policeman who is stopping someone for speeding is to get shot. I think we need to have a conversation, and Black Lives Matter is moving that conversation forward, and we need to have it. So it is a useful tool from that standpoint. The other thing, though, that I'll add is in any movement, there are always a few that give it a bad name, and for that, I regret that some of them have said things that have caused other people to move away from it. We need to have conversations with each other, constant dialogue, then we can fix this problem.
Okay, Mark?
Thank you, Bishop. A lot of times there's a lot of talk about issues, but what do we do to offer solutions? I'm proud to have sponsored and helped lead the Second Chance Act that allows some of our men coming back from criminal justice sentences to reintegrate our community. When it comes to Black Lives Matter, I've had a chance to sit down and talk about some of the people involved in this community. Lieutenant Trey Davis of the Greensboro Police Department. And he tells me there's 2 sides of this Black Lives Matter. He said there's a group that's all about anarchy, but there's another group that are legitimately trying to bring attention, awareness to some of the things, whether we need to implement police bias reform, whatever those kinds of things. Now, sometimes it's hard to delineate between the two because you'll see some of the issues, even in inner city, some that are peacefully protesting, and then maybe some of the outside groups that are coming in to create a little bit more violence. Part of us, our responsibilities as leaders is to make sure that we're able to decipher those differences, but nowhere should we ever get to the place where we're trying to silence voters, whether it's on the street or whether it's in the ballot box.
Okay. Pass the mic back down. I'm trying to give you all some exercise today. You get 1 minute closing, Bruce, and then we'll go down the line.
1 minute closing.
1 minute, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this opportunity again. I wish we had a little more time, but
I do too, but we have a lot of candidates.
Okay. You can start my time back? Okay.
No.
Okay. Thank you again for this opportunity. As you can see, my opponent is not here. He's refused to debate me at any time, and so I certainly hope that you will look at that and remember when you go to the ballot box that you have someone who's willing to stand up and articulate his ideas and what it means to me to run for this seat, where an opponent who his claim to fame is that he owns a gun shop. And my claim to fame, of course, is I've been educating children for 19 years, early education. So when you go to the ballot box, think, are you interested in someone with bullets or someone with books. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You took 5 of your own seconds. Go ahead.
My minute. I want to thank you all for being here today. It's a privilege to be sitting up here in front of you and being a candidate for Congress. We have a lot of problems to solve in America. They're real problems, and we need real solutions and be able to talk to each other to fix them. We need to put America back to work. We need to be safe. We need to be healthy. We need to be educated, and we need to pay our bills. Now, we need to send people to Congress who can talk to each other on real issues and fix them and work across lines. I think I can do that, and so I will make some promises to you. I will never serve longer than 8 years if you keep re-electing me. I will never vote for a salary increase for myself, and if it passes in spite of me, I will give it back to a charity in this district, and I will never vote to make Congress, to you do something that Congress doesn't have to do. Thank you very much.
All right, Mark.
We're not talking about reaching across the aisle. We are reaching across the aisle, not just in D.C., but here locally. There's a reason when you sit down with Chancellor Martin of North Carolina A&T, and he says, Mark, he said, your words are matching your message. When Yvonne Johnson has my yard signs out here, even locally, this isn't something that we're just talking about, we're doing, and it comes intentional. Many years as a minister and a pastor of building these relationships in this community, people know my heart. And though we may not always agree, they know first I'm going to listen. And there's been some things that we've had to go against Republicans on. The CHIP Reauthorization Act for our children, the repeal of the SGR, it was $500 billion into our reforming our welfare system, our Medicaid system, that the folks needed it. There's going to be some times we're going to do the right thing regardless of what they believe we should do in Washington, D.C. And I don't just have to talk about it. When I look at this audience, not just Yvonne, see Tanya and Mark and Laura, some of the people that we are developing relationships with, that's not pandering. We're the only Republican in Congress that has an African-American legislative director, not because he's black, because he's the best. Our district office looks like our community, and I'm proud to stand up for everybody in this community. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, so much. Let's put our hands together for these fine gentlemen, their remarks. That may be exit. I'm going to say to all the candidates as the next group comes up that we really do wish we could drill down a lot deeper, but so many of you consented to come that we really don't have time to ask a lot of questions, but we do appreciate your timeliness in answering the ones that we ask you. And please, please, please express with the best possible expressions you can make your position. I remember one time when I was in Vietnam, as they are putting this down, I had only a few seconds to respond, and it was a life or death situation. So I'm not asking you to be in that position, but please give us your best shot so that we can get the best answer from you at this particular time. Thank you so much. Those who are now called up to the table, would you please come? And again, as you're being seated, you can, I was going to say, Mr. Goodwin, you can pull that down. Again, you'll have 2 minutes for an opening statement, and then we'll come back with questions. And then you have, Gladys, can you get that mic? Okay. For closing. All right. Mr. Goodwin, we'll start with you, Wayne.
Thank you.
Is it not on? That one is live. Okay.
Thank you, Bishop. It's always a pleasure to be in the house of the Lord. Thank you to Mount Zion for putting this together. My name is Wayne Goodwin. I'm our current Commissioner of Insurance and a member of the Council of State. I'm from a little town called Hamlet, North Carolina, down in Richmond County, and grew up on a farm there. Went to public schools, was a Moorhead Scholar at UNC Chapel Hill, was elected to the legislature, served there 8 years. And during my time as an attorney, as an assistant commissioner of insurance, and as the commissioner of insurance, and as a legislator too, I've spent my professional career fighting against insurance companies and folks who break the law and fighting for the people. And as you'll hear during the rest of my time, I've saved us $2.5 billion fighting for you. We just recently announced that there was the largest fine ever against Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina for some incidents that occurred. We've arrested over 1,500 people for breaking the law and stealing from you, and sent 900 of those people to jail for committing insurance fraud. And also, as a state fire marshal, I've worked to ensure that our fire departments, particularly our volunteer departments, have more funds than ever to help protect our communities. So again, I'm Wayne Goodwin. I'm our current state insurance commissioner, member of the council of state, and I'm fighting for you.
All right. Trudy?
I'm Trudy Wade, and it's so great to be here today. And I have to say, this is the most organized event I have been at as far as the debate. Y'all have done a great job, and thank you for having us. And I think this is the most in the audience I've ever seen at one of our debates. So thank you for that. For those of you who don't know anything about my background, I'm a veterinarian. I graduated from Tuskegee Institute, and I won't tell you the year, but I've been in business over 30 years, owning a small business. I'll just say it that way. And I've enjoyed that. I've also served on the county commission, the Greensboro City Council, and various boards and commissions. But for the last 2 terms, I've served you in the Senate of North Carolina in District 27. It's been an exciting time for me because we've done a lot to help people in this area and across the state. We've lowered your estate income tax to the next time it'll be 5.49 from 7.98. That's a big change for people. We've also done a lot to raise teacher pay, and it's been very exciting time doing this. And I will say locally here, we've brought grants to A&T University. They're doing magnificent work on coal ash, being able to use it and recycle it into other innovative technology to use this particular substance of coal ash and to help, hopefully, our environment. Those are all exciting things we've been doing. We've also worked on Union Square, getting funding for that. High Point revitalization, we worked on that at the library. And of course, the High Point Furniture Market. And a lot of constituents have come with other issues that our office is always working on, and we're glad to work with all the people in North Carolina. Thank you again for giving me the honor of serving you the last 2 terms.
All right. Mike?
Got that down to a science, Senator Wade. Bishop, thank you for having us, and thank you everyone for coming out today. My name is Michael Garrett, and I'm running for the North Carolina Senate in the 27th District. I'm a small business owner. I grew up here. I went to school at Summerfield Elementary. I went to high school at Northwest. I'm a proud Spartan and a UNCG graduate. I am running for office because Guilford County can't afford 2 more years of this General Assembly. Our schools need an advocate. Our small businesses need a fighter. And working families need a champion. This General Assembly has raised taxes. They'll talk about lowering rates, but the reality is they've raised taxes on small businesses in North Carolina by $300 million. This General Assembly has codified into law something so shameful that we all know as House Bill 2. And I am here to stand and say that discrimination of any type, anywhere, in the United States of America and on this face of this planet is wrong. And it is not only wrong, but it is bad for business. We've seen the ACC tournament pull out of Greensboro. We've seen NCAA pulling games from North Carolina. This is having a real effect on small business owners. It's having a real effect on working families. They are losing money, and with this economy, every dollar counts. So I am running to fight for you. I am running to fight for everyone because we need somebody in the North Carolina Senate that listens to people, respects people, trusts people, and will stand up for people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. All right. Mr. King?
My name is Devin King, and I'm running to be your state senator for District 28. I am a certified nursing assistant. I do security in and around Greensboro, and I also have my political candidacies, as you can see. I first started my political career by running for the mayor of Greensboro in last year's city council and mayor candidacy runs. 20,000 out of 187,000 people voted just 15 to 20% of our population, a lot of people are uninformed about what's going on. I was asked to run for this seat, and I took it as a great privilege to do so. I do represent the Republican Party as an African American from the city of Cleveland, Ohio, and Detroit, Michigan. I thank the Republican Party for embracing me for who I am and not where I'm from. My mindset, my viewpoints are strong, and I believe in them. I believe that I can help this district in doing the things that are possible for our infrastructure, our tax code, and of course, as the gentleman to my left, right, pointed out, HB2. I believe HB2 needs to stand. I believe that HB2 is a safety for our city and our state as a whole. I believe at the end of the day, we cannot have boys of any age or any mindset wake up one morning and say, I want to be a female and go to school and have to be treated like a female. And if he's not, they can sue that school. That's what HB2 is about. It's about safety and concern and social decency of our living conditions. I understand that companies have pulled out, understand that companies do feel like they can't do business in Greensboro, but Greensboro and North Carolina as a whole is striving. We are striving to greatness and we're striving to goodness. To understand that there are concerns of discrimination in that bill and whatnot, we still have to look at the safety and concerns and social decency of our living environment, of our schools, of our local, our public domains and whatnot. As far as Black Lives Matter, I do support Black Lives Matter, but at the end of the day, African Americans have to come to the mindset that we do live in a culture of hip-hop culture that is demonic, drug, sex, and violence. And at the end of the day, any interaction with police, we must learn how to notify, comply, and stop resisting to have further damage done onto our lives. Thank you.
Gladys?
I'm so short, I'm going to stand if that's all right.
Yeah, I think you're on. No. Gladys, try the one up top. Try the one where I understand. Yeah. See if that one works. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mount Zion, Bishop Brooks, and the others for inviting me here. I'm always at home in this community and in all communities as well, but I thank you for that. I want to say that I've served you in the Senate for 6 years, and I have worked very hard. However, 6 years have been the most egregious and devastating on North Carolina than we've seen. I've worked in this community about 50 years, and I've never seen this state take a turn that it has. So things have to change. We've seen our education cut. We have seen people discriminated against. We have seen, even though you say the income tax change, it changed for the wealthy. And most of you don't have the deductions that you once had on your income tax, and we don't see any jobs in North Carolina. So things do have to change. I have worked hard, but I'm a minority. And so it's hard to get anything done because we have not had the cooperation that we need to make North Carolina the state it once was. So I'm asking again to return to the Senate, to continue the hard work. I listen to all of you. You call me with your own needs, your own concerns, and I work for you because that's who elected me. And I never forget that I work for the people of this state and the people in Guilford County. So I want to ask you for your support to continue the hard work, but we've got plenty of work to do to support people to have a better standard of living, better wages, jobs, education, and we need to have early childhood development, which has been devastated in North Carolina. A child can't learn if he doesn't get an early start and the right start. So I thank you for your support.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask you your question while you're standing.
Okay.
So you won't think you have to jump up and down. My question is, do you support expanding Medicaid in North Carolina?
I absolutely do. Some of you may know that I run a health agency, a community health agency, and we've recently opened a community clinic for people who are uninsured because they're in that gap. And if we had Medicaid expansion in North Carolina, they wouldn't be in the gap where they walk around uninsured. Most people don't understand the formula by that, how that works. But we have 500,000 people still walking around without health insurance. Yes, they go to work, but they can't afford private health insurance, and they don't qualify for Medicaid. Those are the people, and they can't afford ACA, that premium. Those are the people who would be covered by Medicaid expansion. And we should have done that in our state, and we absolutely must do that. People can't work if they're not healthy. They can't take care of their children and their families. So yes, I support Medicaid expansion.
Mr. King?
No, I do not support Medicaid expansion under Obamacare. Obamacare has been a travesty to this country. It will implode on itself in 2016 if a Democratic president doesn't try to prolong it. The premiums are too high, deductibles are too high. It won't. Expanding Medicaid expansion will give us a question sign as of how much it's going to cost to fund that if we do that in North Carolina. We cannot. There are safety nets right now, not just in Guilford County, but in the state, for people without health insurance. You can go to your community health and wellness center. You can go to different departments to get health sustainable treatment. But as far as expanding Medicaid to cost this state, and we're talking about schools and whatnot, it's a number that we don't know how much it's going to cost. And like I said, Obamacare is going to be imploded on itself in 2017 because it just doesn't work. We've actually had to cut people's hours so that jobs wouldn't have to give people health coverage. And now we're talking about expanding something. He spent billions of dollars on a website that didn't even work. Where is all this money going? And yet we want to expand things of the Democratic mindset and liberal mindset. We want to expand things until there's nothing else. And then we're going to be looking back saying, I hope we should have had a Republican to fix it. So I wouldn't expand it, no.
All right. Y'all in?
Thank you. I think this question is two parts. Number one, it's an economic question. Number two, it's a moral question. It's good business, Medicaid expansion. So yes, I support it, but I support it for the moral reasons also. I mean, I think what the senator just said is critical and key to hear. This is about closing a gap for people that don't earn enough to be able to afford private insurance, but don't make so little that they qualify for Medicaid. These people don't have health care, but they're paying the Medicaid taxes already. Hundreds of thousands of people in North Carolina are paying for this, but our governor and this General Assembly, because of politics, not because of people, not because of principle, because of politics, they said no, and they've turned down Medicaid expansion, so hundreds of thousands of people in North Carolina do not have health insurance, and there are estimates that 1,700 people die every year because of this decision, and I think that is a travesty, and it is immoral, and it's time we change it.
Thank you for the question. And I would say that I would not expand Medicaid at this time for one reason, that most of the people that would receive, the majority of the people, the expansion, would be able-bodied individuals, men, that could get jobs. On the other hand, I would say I would do everything I could to help get the job force ready to have education for individuals so that they can get a job. And also, I would like to mention that according to the Associated Press, the cost of expanding Medicaid in other states is 49% higher than projected. And we're depending on the federal government, who has a deficit that in the trillions of dollars, to help fund this. I think at this time, we would be hard-pressed to go into an agreement with the federal government when they have overruns and can't even balance a budget at this point in time. Thank you.
Wayne, you have a little different.
I can answer that one too if you want.
You can answer that one too? Well, talk to me.
As our state insurance commissioner, I do favor expanding Medicaid. We have 500,000 North Carolinians who do not have health insurance. They're caught between the gap. They make too much to be on Medicaid as it is, too little to be able to pay for private health insurance. For moral reasons, financial reasons, and the fact that it's an economic boost to our medical clinics and hospitals, we need to expand Medicaid. People don't realize that because we didn't expand Medicaid, it has contributed significantly to the increase in the insurance premiums for everybody across this state. And as insurance commissioner, I attest to that. I also believe that in expanding Medicaid, if we expanded Medicaid and had a state exchange, there would have been 2 more companies that would have come in to compete with Blue Cross Blue Shield. They chose not to come here because of that. We should do what 30-plus other states who have Republican and Democratic governors did, and that is expand Medicaid. And as our insurance commissioner, I can tell you there are many more positives than there are negatives, and I believe it's the right thing to do.
All right. Gladys, we'll start with your 1-minute closing statement.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. It's so wonderful to see so many of you I know. Those I don't know, make sure I do. You can call my office at any time regarding assistance with any issue that you have. If I'm not the one, we'll direct you to the right person. But I want to encourage you first, like President Obama said, don't boo, vote. That's the critical thing, vote. Because if your voice isn't heard, then it won't make any difference later when it comes to education and health, the things we need in our state. We must get North Carolina back where it should be. And we must take care of all of the people from the newborns all the way to the elderly. And many are lost. And we know what this voter ID bill has been about. And even in early voting, you can only go to one site the first few days, and that's ridiculous. A lot of elderly people can't even go downtown. So we know what has happened in North Carolina, and you should want to stop. You should want to take care of everybody.
Ms. King?
I just want to thank Mount Zion for having us. I just want to thank Senator Gladys Robinson for being here, and thank you for your incumbent candidacy for running. My brother is 30 years old, no high school diploma, works at a hospital, makes $16 an hour. My mother is 50-plus years old, works for GSK, sits at home on her computer and talks as a human resource and works and makes $30 an hour. There is opportunity out here for everybody. It's called individual success, personal responsibility by the equal treatment rule of law. If you put yourself to the fire and get through the trials and tribulations and the obstacles of what you need to do in life as black, white, Hispanic, or Latino, or what race or ethnic group or whatever, you can achieve what you want to do. We have problems in this state, yes we do, but HB2 is far from it, and companies and basketball games far from it, from leaving is far from it. We have an infrastructure problem, we have a tax problem, and we have a racial divide problem. 8 years, as Ms. Glass Robinson brought up on President Obama, $1 trillion he squandered away in 2009. He then gave Dodd-Frank bigger banks in order for, if one of those banks collapse, everything implodes in the United States. There are things that this Democratic president has not done to benefit the ideology and the race efforts in America, nor has he improved our schools or our jobs. We need a different route. We need a businessman. We need a billionaire playboy, as Donald Trump is. Let's take it for what it is, and let's elect somebody who can get this country running. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mount Zion, for having us and for facilitating this conversation.
We're going to ask the audience to please hear Mr. Garrett.
Thank you to Mount Zion for having us out and for facilitating this important conversation. And thank you, Senator Wade, for coming to talk with us as well. We talked a little bit about a few issues, and I know we're in a time crunch, and we just talked about a few. But the reality is that North Carolina, the reason I'm running is because I know how amazing we can be and how amazing this state can be when we're at our best. And it's time that we get over politics and we get back to work, because what government is supposed to be about, it's supposed to be about people. It's supposed to be about principles. And the time of putting our party before our policies, putting our party before our people has got to end. And so I'm running to be your voice and to be your champion and to fight for you every single day I am in the state Senate. And again, I appreciate you having me out here, and I wish we could answer more questions, but check out our Facebook, and I know you do, Bishop, and check out our website to find out more about our platform. And I hope that in early voting, which starts on the 20th, next Thursday, and on November 8th, you'll vote for Michael Garrett for North Carolina Senate District 27. Thank you.
All right. Trudy?
Again, I want to thank you for being here today. You could be home watching the ACC games, and I appreciate you coming out to hear us. Also, if I have the honor of serving you again, I want to reiterate that I will continue working on tax relief, especially for middle income. Coming up, you will have tax-free your first $17,500 on your income tax. That will be your zero tax bracket. And also helping to lower tuition at our universities so all students can get a chance to attend universities and get a college education. The other thing I would like to reiterate is although people think that we don't have bipartisan support at the General Assembly, I would like to tell you 80 to 85% of our votes are bipartisan, including our budget for last year we had bipartisan support. So we do work together. I would like to continue to work together with the other members of the Senate and of the House and pass legislation to help the middle class And I appreciate you being here today, and I'd be honored to go back and serve you again for another term. Thank you so much.
Mr. Goodwin? Both of yours went dead, huh? Somebody doesn't love you.
Thank you, Bishop, and to Mount Zion. My name is Wayne Goodwin. I'm our current state insurance commissioner. On my watch, we have the lowest car insurance premiums in the entire United States. On my watch, we have the lowest homeowners insurance premiums in the South. 2 months ago, the Court of Appeals upheld a decision I made that saved North Carolina homeowners $600 million through rate cuts, refunds, rebates, and restitution and negotiations I did on your behalf. I've saved North Carolina homeowners and North Carolina citizens $2.5 billion. I'm the only person in this race who's never worked for the insurance industry, the only person in this race who's never been an insurance lobbyist. I've spent my professional career only fighting for people, only fighting for families, only fighting for you. We want to make sure that your insurance commissioner is not tied to special interests. I do ask for your vote as I seek a third term on the Council of State as our North Carolina insurance commissioner. I certainly want to make sure that when you go to vote, that you'll all have a good win for your candidates, but certainly a good win for insurance commissioner. Thank you so much.
All right, let's put our hands together for all the candidates. We're going to check the mics as they're coming down. All right, thank you so much. Let's check these mics and make sure they're working before we call up our next group. And thank all of you for your answers and your participation. Thank you so much.
Testing one, testing.
I'm gonna do while the next group is coming what I do in church sometime. Everybody just stand up for a moment, if you will. You may be getting tired of sitting. If not, you may.
Testing one, two, three.
Okay. Thank you. No, you Kurt? No, that's Kurt. I'm Rick Forrester. Oh no, we got you going up in a minute. Did they put you up the wrong group? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we got you. We ain't gonna forget you. Okay. Also, we're unable to get up on the other platform at the beginning, so we're gonna let you go now, and then we'll have a small break. And so what we'll start doing is give us your 2 minutes, Mr. Perkins, and then we'll go to Mr. Foster.
Thank you, and good afternoon to everybody. I'm Kirk Perkins. I live in the eastern part of the county in McLeansville. I'm a Guilford County native. I went to school and graduated from Northeast Guilford High School, went to Guilford College, and I've been other places in the world, but I really haven't been anywhere that I liked as much as Guilford County. We have so much opportunity and diversity and natural beauty and metropolitan areas downtown. We had a situation in our community in McLeansville where they were trying to put a big 40-acre landfill on the main entrance coming into McLeansville. And I really am not political. I'm not a politician. That might surprise somebody since I've served on the board and running again, but I'm just a citizen. And I got involved in working to fight the landfill. Unfortunately, we had to fight, even some of our neighbors that were trying to sell the land. But it was bad for that area. And when all the dust settled, against a lot of odds, we actually had to go before the county commissioners. And I know what it's like to be out there at 2 o'clock in the morning at a meeting trying to get your point across. Well, when all the dust settled, it was defeated. And some people said, you need to run for commissioner. And somebody said, well, that's kind of scary. And I said, well, I might even win. Who knows sometime. But I ran, served 2 terms, didn't know much about the politics of it. But I found out it's really about being a servant. It's not a position of power or influence. It's a position of hard work and caring about people. I tried to reach out to everybody that contacted me, email or phone call. When I had a zoning issue, I went out and looked around and tried to figure out what the best solution was there. And I found out that, when you look at these decisions that you have at the Board of Commissioners, the hard ones are hard and the easy ones are hard because they're all hard if you really take them seriously and look at them. And, of course, there's always 2 sides to it, and sometimes it's pretty closely monitored. But, again, I'm Kirk Perkins. My time's running down. It's like the game. I know how they miss those shots now when they look up at the clock. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Forrester.
Thank you. My name is Rick Forrester. I practice law here in Greensboro, North Carolina. I came here 50 years ago to go to college. Started off at Guilford College, ended up over at UNCG where I graduated. I took a teaching degree. I taught English for about 20 minutes one year. And
excuse me.
and realized that maybe my best talents lie elsewhere. So I applied to law school at Wake Forest. I went over there and graduated. But I know a little bit about the educational system from that short experience. And my daughter had taught school here in this county, and then she did 4 years in the public schools of Mecklenburg before returning to Guilford County just last year. So I know a little bit about education. I have served on the planning boards and the historic district boards of Greensboro before I moved to High Point, and I'm running for the county commission in a High Point district. I'm a little bit far from home on that, but I hope that I can pull some good sentiment and vibration from this quarter of the county. And some of you may very well be living over there. I have been a prosecutor. I've been a defense lawyer. I'm one of the few lawyers in the room not running for judge. And I have also spent most of the 90s for a Fortune 500 company. And I know a little bit about how government reacts to business. I know how business reacts to government. I think I know a little bit about how to get things done within the system. I'm running as a Democrat, of course, and I think that the biggest job that the county does of the 3 jobs that are mandated to the counties by the state constitution is education. And we need to pay good attention. We have some valiant people in our county employees, but particularly in the schools, doing a great job with very little. They're doing the most they can with the least they've been given. So my job is to get elected and support them as much as possible.
All right, while you have the mic, I'm going to ask you a question.
Certainly.
Do you support the release of police body cam videos to the public?
I do. I do support that. A close friend of mine said to me, a man of color, the only thing new about what we're seeing is the cameras. And we need to really get our arms around what's going on. And what we need probably is more cameras. So I think that after review, I think there has to be a cautious process of that. I think the authorities review it, the police review it, the governing body of whatever, the county or city or the town reviews it. But then I think those matters become public domain, particularly where some terrible thing has happened. It's the only way to answer the questions that need answering.
Okay. Mr. Perkins, same question.
Thank you. I absolutely believe that body cam video footage should be released. Now, I know there's sometimes technical issues that may hold it back a little bit until the investigation can be completed. But I think what we need to do is have more transparency. I have a degree in criminal justice from Guilford College. I served 10 years in law enforcement before I started my own business 33 years ago in real estate and construction. But I can tell you that clarity is important. I think it protects the officers and the public. I think when people know they're under camera, and the potential I think they just act better. Yeah, I think we all do. And I think we should have a police review board, but I think the General Assembly and some of the laws that have been enacted have meant to cloud the issue and hold back on the release of footage and make it harder and harder. It's really a difficult thing on some of the technicalities, but there's no doubt that we need more transparency, more clarity. How's that? And we need to be able to. The public needs to know what's going on because these are people that are funded by us.
Amen. You're transparently clear on your answer. Okay.
Give
us your closing 1-minute statement, please.
Thank you. Again, I'm Kirk Perkins. I'm a lifelong Democrat. I'm running District 4, which has been gerrymandered into a question mark in eastern Guilford and northeast Guilford and northern Guilford County in Greensboro. I learned a long time ago that if you try to do the right thing and work for people and be a servant, that you'll make a good commissioner. And I think I did that. I never missed a meeting in 8 years as a commissioner, a call meeting. Of course, if I'd been sick or something, I was fortunate also. A lady called me one day and said, Kirk, I don't want you to fund the school board for anything. They don't spend their money properly and on and on and on. A few weeks later, she called me back. She said, Kirk, I want you to release this money for McLeansville School that they were rebuilding then. And I asked her, I said, well, you didn't want me to give them anything a few weeks ago. Now you want me to give them everything. She said, yeah, Kirk, my kids go to McLeansville. And so what I realized was that was kind of a moment where I realized that everybody's kid is somebody's kid. Everybody in that jail is somebody's family member. And if we do the right things and treat people as the children of God they are, then we'll always get by.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Fawcett. Your last minute, please.
Thank you. The county commission has 3 jobs according to the state laws. That is public education, human services, and public safety. Now, with regard to how you get jobs to a county, everybody looks at that before they come to a county or when they're going to stay in a county or they're going to put down roots as a company and hire people, they look to the educational system. We have not had what we needed in education, despite the great job that the people who work in our educational system are doing. And we have 130 sites that all need maintenance, all need things done. And those have to be properly maintained and looked after. And the way you educate kids is you put bodies in there. You put in teacher assistants. You put in your nurses. You give the teachers a raise, and you give them supplies. And once again, I go back to my personal experience. You know, my daughter wanted $100 worth of supplies every summer. That's how she got her kids paper and pencils and erasers and things like that. So education does everything. Brings the jobs. It brings the money and the development.
All right, let's put our hands together for these two fine gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, we're going to ask Ida Bracken to come and give us some voting information, if you would, please, Ida.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I guess.
Good evening. The first thing I want to do is that I want to quote something that came from Dr. Lee Cooley, who's with the state of North Carolina. One of the things that she said was, and it stood out to me, voting is one of the greatest methods through which power is demonstrated. And in our efforts to ensure that no population of citizens of North Carolina is faced with disenfranchisement and hinders their successful participation at the polls, and successful participation means casting a ballot that counts. So I'm encouraging everybody. We've done voter registrations, but we've got to get to the polls to vote. That is a conclusion of all of our efforts. There are a couple of things I want to share with you. Early voting dates, and please pay attention to this. All of this is going to be handed out to you. If you haven't already received it, make sure you get these before you leave. One is a very short 8.5 by 4.5 sheet of paper. Make sure you get that. Early voting dates, October 20th through November 5th. Election date, Tuesday, November 8th. I'd also like to let you know that Mount Zion will be voting as a church family Sunday, October 30th, following morning worship service at the Greensboro Coliseum. Now that's something. Make sure you come out and support us. Seniors and special needs members can vote Wednesday, November 2nd, following noonday Bible study at Barber Park. Same-day registration is allowed. You'll need a picture ID. For more details, see A to Z Guide to Voting, page 7. And this has been made available, I hope, to everyone. No ID, I'm sorry, no ID. Make sure you pick this up before you leave. It has so much valuable information in it. And it gives you candidates for federal, state, and local elections. So we want to make sure you do that. The other thing is that, to my page here, Guilford County citizens may go to any of these 25 early voting locations, but only one is open the first week, and that's the Guilford County Board of Elections. And I think somebody spoke to that earlier, so make sure you know that. There are a number of locations on this short sheet that you can go to that second week beginning on October 27th, so we want to make sure that all of this is clear. It's a lot to take in, but it's all printed for you, so just make sure that you pick these up and take a look at all these candidates. We've heard from a number of candidates today, but everybody was not here. And there's a bio on each and every one of them in this brochure, and you can do your own research. But this is a critical election. This election is too big to miss. So we've got to make sure we get to the polls.
All right.
Former felons can register and vote after finishing their sentence and probation. We've had a number of questions about felons. And we need to tell relatives that this can be done, but you have to go through the proper procedures to get it done. Don't let that keep you from voting. If you need a ride to the polls, again, you go to your A to Z guide, look that up, and they have the pictures of all the candidates in there. There's no reason for us not to be educated. And as informed about this election. We have got to get to the polls, and that's my message now. To spread the word to relatives, to friends, to church members. It's not just enough to register to vote. You've got to get to the polls. Thank you.
All right. My friend used to say, get her done. Okay. At this time, we're going to hear from Guilford County Board of Education. The candidates, would you please come forward? Left foot? Oh, go ahead, go ahead. We're going to have the at-large District 2, District 3, District 5, District 6, and District 7. Okay. Okay. All right. Y'all can just smile at each other for a second, maybe not long. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Let's just see. We'll get started with Ms. Jenkins. Betty, yes. Give us your 2 minutes, please.
Hello, my name is Betty Jenkins, and I'm running for District 7 Board of Education. I would like to thank Mount Zion and also Bishop Brooks for allowing us to be here. I am a retiree of Gifford County Schools of 23 years of service. I've also worked in the education setting for 33 years. I have the experience as far as being a teacher assistant, a school social worker, and last, the community service works coordinator with Gifford County Schools. Gifford County Schools have allowed me the opportunity to work with all children in the elementary, middle, and high school areas. Not only that, I have also worked in the community. I said to you, the experience that I have can lead me to be the best candidate for District 7 Board of Education. I have the leadership skills, and I'm also committed to our children. I'm committed to the families. I'm committed to the community. I have done a lot of work in the community as well. I serve as leadership positions in our community as far as the NAACP, and also have done some leadership positions as far as my church is concerned. I am committed to not only our children in District 7, I'm committed to the children that's in the Gifford County school system. And I said, thank you very much for the opportunity, and please vote Betty Jenkins, District 7 Board of Education. You will see my name listed as an unaffiliated candidate. However, I am a lifelong Democrat. I'm only running for unaffiliated because I did not file on the filing date. I filed after the filing date, therefore I had to go out and get 15 signatures. Thank you.
Mr. Gladden.
Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Byron, and I am the Democratic candidate running for School Board District 7. To quote James Baldwin, everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. And on December 16, 2015, I made the decision to file and run to represent District 7, which no one had at that time. And on the closing date of December 21st, I received a phone call from Reverend Amos Quick, announcing that I had won, that no one else had filed to run against my district. I feel that when it comes to our children in our school system, we have to be intentional, not delayed. Last year, 40% of African American males graduated Guilford County schools with less than a 2.5 GPA. In 2014-2015 school year, Guilford County Schools suspended over 4,700 black students and 986 white students. There is clear evidence to the data that there are disproportionate outcomes for black and brown children in our county, as well as across our country. My background in healthcare, business, finance, and customer service, I feel has enabled me with the leadership capability, the ability to work across party lines, to be an effective advocate for our community. We need to be intentional in District 7. To add to my resume, I am currently appointed to a 2-year term with the Guilford County Board of Commissioners on the Committee of Aging. I go into the nursing homes and check with patients to see if they're aware of their patient rights, if they are aware of how to contact an ombudsman, if they are aware that if there's anything dealing with inequity, that they have a right to call. Again, my name is Byron Gladden. I am the Democratic candidate running for School Board District 7. Vote for Gladden. You will be glad you did.
Alan?
Good afternoon. My name is Alan Hawks. I am a Party of Lincoln person, a Republican. However, I'm more of an independent in a lot of instances than Republican or Democrat. I have sat on the North Carolina Charter School Board in Raleigh on and off since 2004. I've seen public schools of choice come and go. I've worked very hard to revoke the charters of public schools of choice that do not perform, and I have also worked to approve and recommend schools that deserve an opportunity to serve the public, particularly in at-risk, high-poverty neighborhoods. I helped to open Greensboro Academy in 1999 and bring that to Guilford County. It's a public school of choice. It scores an A+ NG, no gap between the different subgroups for the last 2 years. I've also helped in 2013 bring Summerfield Charter Academy to Guilford County, and this past August 29th, Gate City Charter Academy opened on Flemingfield Road off of East Wendover that will serve a mostly at-risk, high-poverty demographic. That school, when it gets going, and it has a very ambitious principal, Corey Moore, he is ambitious to make that a C school in its very first year. This is a public school of choice, K through 8, starting out K through 5. The parents are absolutely falling over themselves trying to get their children in. It had a 300 family wait list. This school will show you what public school choice can do when parents are engaged, when the children are enthusiastic to learn. It focuses on back to basics with a high moral focus. I want Guilford County schools to entertain that as well as a lot of other possibilities in turning our early education deficiency in Guilford County around. And I'll speak to that a little bit later also.
Okay. Yes, sir. Cash?
Good afternoon, folks.
Good afternoon.
My name is Wes Cashwell. I'm the candidate for District 6. I'd like to say thank you to Mount Zion for hosting this opportunity this afternoon. Bishop, thank you for your service, not only today, but also to your country. And thank you to our audience. I know collectively as a group of candidates, we feel very honored that you would take the time today to come and hear our views on education. I want to tell you that I am a resident of High Point. I've enjoyed that relationship